Good morning. I am Larry Schweiger, and I'm President and CEO of the National Wildlife Federation. I wanted to say thank you, Director Ogay and Deputy Administrator Medford, and also to recognize my good friend Congressman John Dingell for your steady hand in Washington. On behalf of our 4 million members and supporters, it's my pleasure to speak this morning in support of these proposed landmark standards. I'm pleased to be here with Bob in Detroit today. As a one-time GM mechanic, I expect to be even more thrilled when I walk through the auto show this afternoon. In 2009, when the tide was flowing against the auto industry, National Wildlife Federation stood up to support the auto recovery package. At the time, I believed that the U.S. auto industry could innovate and build the kind of clean cars and trucks that consumers and our environment increasingly demand. America needs a strong, clean industrial sector that employs billions with good jobs while producing the most efficient products possible. Our members depend on all kinds of vehicles, from small hybrid cars to pickups and off-road vehicles. We still believe in the potential of the American auto industry. Over the past 2 years, the hardworking people here in Detroit and in Ohio, Missouri, and North Carolina, and all across the country have been proving dramatically that they have what it takes for America to lead in a prosperous and clean energy future. Their efforts, combined with these new standards and effective public and private investment, show how an industry can be retooled to be vibrant in the present and even more relevant and powerful in the future. Strong standards through the 2025 years are critical to staying on this path. The standards are also an example of how an industry and labor and the conservation community can and must work together to use the Clean Air Act as a tool for innovation and to solve critical environmental, energy, and economic challenges that we face today. These standards deliver. I've spent the past 8 years all across America talking to our members and many others who want to see America's outdoor heritage sustained and preserved for their children. All too often, our huge demand for oil stands in the way. Carbon pollution is warming our climate locally and worldwide. These changes threaten people and global security right now, and they are most profoundly threatening force against the future of wildlife. Rising temperatures, floods, fires, droughts, and ecosystem alterations are creating direct habitat loss, increased invasive species, and other threats for wildlife species, and many of those species may not adapt. The 20 million barrels of oil U.S. uses every day account for 40% of the U.S. carbon pollution load that causes climate change. Meanwhile, when drilling projects go wrong, whole ecosystems are threatened by disasters like the Deepwater Horizon spill in 2010 and smaller leaks and spills like the recent Enbridge spill here in Michigan. Recent pipeline spills do grave harm right in our backyards to residents, to wildlife like herons and muskrats and ducks and geese, and destroy decades of community efforts that were intended on restoring rivers like the Kalamazoo. Today, we have real opportunity to combat these threats. The proposed 2017 through 25 standards will double the fuel economy for our cars, SUVs, and pickups from today's levels to an average of 54.5 miles per gallon by 2025. These vehicles will save Americans 4 billion barrels of oil and 2 billion metric tons of carbon pollution. Taken together with light and heavy-duty standards being implemented now, the proposed standards will cut carbon pollution by over 650 million metric tons a year by 2030, about 10% of the total U.S. carbon pollution today. This is a historic step forward to combat our climate challenge. Together, these standards will cut our demand for oil by 3.4 million barrels per day, more than all the oil we get today from the Persian Gulf, from Venezuela, and from Russia combined. As we are ensuring that every car and truck uses less fuel, steady expansion of electric and advanced vehicle technologies can lead us even further into mass markets. High-performance vehicle fleets that use little oil and produce nearly zero pollution. Deep cuts in the oil we need means less pressure for risky new drilling projects in the Arctic or for clear-cutting forests in Canada for tar sands. It means less need for new pipelines, fewer leaks, and fewer threats to people, wildlife, and our public lands. These standards show we can take real steps to roll back climate change and protect wildlife for generations yet to come. These standards just don't deliver for American outdoor heritage. Consumers save big as well. The proposed standards will save Americans $500 billion. That's tens of billions of dollars a year American families and businesses can spend at home building jobs instead of sending overseas for oil. Families and businesses will save more than $4,000 on the life cycle costs of a car or truck after accounting for the cost of more efficient vehicles. For household budgets, doubling fuel economy is like cutting the price of gasoline in half. For those concerned about cutting dependence on foreign oil and reducing pain at the pump, the best place to drill for oil is under the hoods of our cars. These standards bring innovation and fuel savings to owners of all kinds of vehicles. For many of our members, the outdoor traditions that mean most to them, including get together with family and friends, loading gear into the pickup truck, and heading outdoors to hunt and fish. Across the country, communities and businesses that depend on outdoor recreation depend on these trips. For those who rely on larger vehicles, high gas prices hit particularly hard. Achieving robust fuel efficiency improvements is critical and welcome. Fortunately, today's fuel economy standards don't just focus on cars, but ensure improvements across all vehicle sizes and types to achieve an overall increase in fuel economy and reduction in pollution. And innovation is delivering far better fuel efficiency together with improved power and performance. The standard is essential to deliver cars and trucks that work in the outdoors and forward. The proposed standard is also critical to regain and sustain our leadership in the most advanced vehicle technologies, including hybrid electric cars and trucks. These technologies will be critical in combating high fuel prices and environmental challenges into the future, and the competitiveness of American auto industry in a changing world. Investments in cutting cutting-edge electric vehicles and other innovations increase fuel efficiency across the board, and long-term targets create certainty in a world tyrannized by volatile oil prices and availability. Together, we must work to build a robust network of innovators, suppliers, and caring consumers to lead in the global economy for the auto industry's future. And it's working now. National Wildlife recently released the report that Bob mentioned that makes clear that we are creating, there's now over 300 companies in 43 states engaged in adding over 100,000 jobs in the past year, building and selling next generation of auto and trucks. That's what it means and why it matters for America to lead the clean energy economy. The standards you are considering today are essential for sustaining that progress. And for these reasons, it's not surprising the recent survey of Consumer Reports found that 93% of the public in support of stricter fuel economy standards. The public understands that fuel standards work. They work for wildlife, they work for American families, and they work for the auto industry and the auto workers and for the overall economy. We thank the agencies for your clarity of vision and perseverance in developing these standards. We will be submitting additional technical comments and appreciate your consideration today. Thank you.
Thank you both. Do any of my colleagues have any questions?
I just want to thank you for both of you for taking the time to testify. We're looking forward for your written testimony, and also looking forward to have the technical dialogue with both your teams as we're moving forward to finalize this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.